Me, female 23, with my boyfriend, male 24 of 1 year. Don't know what to do after an unsettling heart-to-heart. I'm so deeply in love with my boyfriend and we're best friends. He makes me happy. However, no relationship is perfect and we had a chat last night, but the outcome has changed the way I see him. I mentioned to him sometimes that he can be cold and keep his distance from me sometimes, and it hurts me when he does that because he's usually loving and kind to me. I also feel like we don't spend enough time together and we don't have enough sex. We had a calm discussion about this before, and to his credit, he's working on it. If he sometimes slips back into being cold, I have to remind him and he makes the effort to not be like that. However, I felt bad for always having to be the one initiating conversations about our relationship, so I asked him if there was anything I could work on to make him happier. I have so many annoying habits and character faults I will happily own up to. I'm messy and disorganized and tend to get stressed quite easily over nothing and many more faults. But instead of these, he said that the thing about me that bothered him the most was when I acted too in love with him. Sometimes I feel love drunk with him. I can't stop smiling and hugging him and just generally feel like I could skip down the street. I feel high on love. It doesn't happen often, but it happens sometimes when I'm with him. He said he found this really annoying and that he can't relate to me when I'm in this mood. This really hurt me because it's a positive emotion I feel about him and my expression of love annoys him. He also criticized that I have plans to move to Europe in a year's time and he voluntarily said he'd love to go with me. I never in any way pressured or even asked him to go. I merely said that having him in my life and with me as long as we're happy together would be amazing, and he's now criticizing me for saying sometimes in conversation, it would be so fun to do X and Y when we live there. He also talks about our relationship with his mom and sister, which I don't mind, family is important, but when they said I was crazy for planning so far ahead, as if I had detailed and concrete plans to move with him, he agreed with them and then threw it back in my face out of nowhere when he'd been excited about the potential move before that. In my mind, the move has always been just something nice to look forward to while I finish my masters and something I will plan closer to the time, whether he's with me or not. He also frequently compares our relationship to his older sister's disaster of a relationship that was too intense and they planned things too much. This made me angry, and I said it was insulting to us to compare us to two entirely different people. He also said that my clinging to him in public is annoying and is evidence of my insecurity. This hurt a lot because when I hug and kiss him in public, it's my way of expressing my love for him. And when I'm feeling insecure, I wouldn't have the confidence to be all over him in public. He also doesn't have an issue with public displays of affection, as he constantly kisses me and touches me in public. He also made other valid points about me, like that I'm jealous, I am, but the reason is that I'm insecure in our relationship. As previous to this conversation, he's thought about dumping me and told me about it. An example of this is that recently I was under a lot of pressure in college to pass my finals and I was relying on him a lot for support. He told me after that he thought about dumping me because it was too hard for him to support me and he missed the good times. However, his lovely dad, who's always been my favorite of his family, recently got seriously sick. I haven't thought twice about supporting my boyfriend through it. He was calling me up to 3 times a day, seriously upset, and I was there for him and talked him through it. He came to my house broken and upset, and I was there for him. I didn't even have to think about it. Things like that come naturally when you love someone. In light of everything he said to me, I suggested that we break up. His issues with me are way too serious, and I feel I deserve better than someone who thinks of me like that. However, he insisted that he deeply loves me and that he needs me at this time in his life with his dad being sick. What should I do? Am I being irrational? I'm so confused. I don't want the breakup at all. I really think he's an amazing person, and I believe that deep down he does love me. Well, OP, I gotta say, I don't know why you would sometimes get high on love when it sounds like this guy doesn't really love you. I mean, he stated that he's wanted to dump you a couple of times, but kind of keeps you around for emotional support. Now, maybe he did support you in your finals, and that's really cool of him, but the fact that he wants to end it, but right now needs you because his dad is sick, that's just weird. I mean, this guy probably is gonna dump you as soon as he doesn't need you anymore, or as soon as he's strong again. I think it's nice that you want to help him. You clearly really like his dad, but this is not a healthy thing for you. And you should also work a little bit on your own issues, which you acknowledge you have, your insecurities and your jealousy. Because the messy thing, well, that's just a character trait that you can try to keep in check. And also, I don't really like it when people talk about their partners to their parents or complain about their partners to their parents. In a healthy relationship, that shouldn't happen. In an abusive relationship, sure, you try to raise flags if you're not isolated. But again, a healthy relationship, you don't complain about your partner to your parents. If you have an issue with your partner, you talk to your partner. So, OP, in my opinion, I think you guys should call it quits and move on. I'm sure he's got more people that he can rely on regarding his dad's sickness than you. And what do you guys think about this whole situation? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section. And now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Normal people don't suggest to their significant other that they'd like to dump them on multiple occasions. I cut your losses, OP. You don't owe him since he's going through a hard time at the moment, especially since it's likely he'll probably end it once he no longer needs whatever this support is you're giving him. Mermaid Tail Blanket says, "It sounds to me like you need more emotionally than he is willing or able to give you right now. You are not wrong for feeling this way. Being in a relationship where you aren't emotionally fulfilled is torture. It's a one-way ticket to unhappiness." That being said, it's his prerogative to be as emotionally available in a relationship as he chooses to or is able to. As long as he's clear about it, and it sounds like he was, I can't really fault him for that. I don't think either of you here is wrong or unreasonable. So, now that you have all the information, it is up to you to decide if that's the man you want to be with or not. He told you who he is, how he sees you, and what this relationship means to him. Up to you to decide if this is good enough for you or not. I don't see what penetrating his ego is going to offer here. Sounds to me like you're hoping there's something you can say that will magically change him, but unfortunately, that's not the way to go about things. He has the right to be who he is, as do you. It's up to you to decide whether to stay or go. He pretty much told you he is satisfied with how things are, so why would he want to break up? Unsolved says he loves what you can do for him. Deep down, he's selfish. When he has to do stuff for you, or you're sick or sad, or too happy, or kiss him instead of him kissing you, or you making plans instead of him making plans, or anything but exactly what he wants, when he wants it, on his schedule, you become a burden and an inconvenience. He doesn't love you. He loves the convenience of an obedient you, and everything else, he does anything that's you and not him, irritates him. And Wolfies says, he's annoyed that you like him. What else is there to say? You can do better. Plenty of people would appreciate having someone who really likes them. It doesn't sound like personal displays of affection is a problem, but the fact that you really like him, which is an a-hole thing to say. I had an ex who told me he didn't respect me when I was so over the top in love with him. He was my first serious boyfriend, and during the honeymoon phase, I was crazy about him. Then, one night he was at my house and insulted me. I'm 5'3" and weighed about 100 pounds at the time, and he snapped at me for eating a sandwich and told me I was letting myself go. He was effing crazy. So I told him to get the F out. He called me an hour later and told me he liked me better when I stood up for myself and yelled at him. He was praising me like I was being such a good girl. It was gross and weird. That was the point where I was like, I do not need this crap in my life. A guy who only likes me when I don't like him back. Who wants to play those effing mind games? Also, the weird crap about my weight because he needs to deal with that? Alright, well, the community had some things to say about OP's relationship, and we got another story there in that last comment. Now, OP didn't reply to any of the comments, so we have no additional context, meaning we move on straight to the update to see how this story ends. But of course, before that, here's another one of my playlists for you to enjoy after this video. Now let's move on with that update. Firstly, I just want to thank the people of r/relationships. I read each and every one of your comments, and it meant so much to me that a stranger would take the time to write such in-depth comments with the aim of helping me. After my boyfriend and I had the discussion mentioned in the previous post, we went to sleep. We woke up the next morning and had breakfast together. He seemed quiet and emotionally distressed. He said to me a few times that he thinks we can work on us and that he thinks it's going to be okay. I still wasn't convinced, but I didn't want to be mean to him or start a discussion again, so I placated him until he left, and I could get time on my own to think. During the day, he called me after visiting his dad and asked if he could come over. I was surprised by this and wondered what his motives were. I assumed he was coming to break up with me, but after he revealed what he really thought of me somehow, I wasn't terrified of being single. I knew I would be gutted as I love him deeply, but it makes me unbelievably sad that he hates parts of my personality that I consider positive. I am also deeply shaken by the truth that he found it too hard to support me through finals. Life is too short and I feel like I can't rely on him right now. Worse things than finals will happen to us all in life. This hardly seems fair when I'm his emotional crutch in ways I never expected of him at my worst during this past year. Although granted, he is going through a horrible time. He comes over and he genuinely wanted to spend time with me and talk. He apologized for being emotionally unavailable at the moment as he was struggling to come to terms with his father's illness. I forgave him immediately for this because of the circumstances. What I don't understand still is his general coldness towards me before his dad was sick. He promised to work on that, but he's also promised to work on that many times before. He never apologized for insulting my personality or rephrased that my display of love was annoying to him, so I guess that still stands. The more I think about this, the more it makes me feel like I deserve better. The positive things he did say about my personality was that he admires my empathy and aspires to it. Empathy is just one of my personality traits. I have too many good and bad ones that he generally doesn't acknowledge. At the same time, I feel like I know him inside out. What he also did say was that he wants to try to be on the same level as me emotionally. He made the time to come to my house and stay the night and talk to me, which is a huge gesture considering his father is in intensive care and his family was pretty pissed that he wasn't there in the hospital with them that night. This action has me confused. He chose me over his family, which says a lot at this time. It's something I didn't and would never ask him to do. Our conversation obviously had him pretty freaked out. He was shaking from emotion. In hindsight, I don't know if this could be because he doesn't want to lose me out of genuine love, or he doesn't want to lose me because he needs what I can give him. I'm feeling pretty numb about the relationship for the first time. The thought of a future where I have to hold back my true feelings or filter them so he can handle them makes me feel like I'm drowning. It goes against my personality and my nature, and I understand that his being different from me doesn't make him wrong, but his general lack of consideration and feelings for me is terrifying to me when I feel so much for him. Also, I've noticed that my complaint that we don't have enough sex seems to have really affected him, as he has tried to initiate sex with the goal of pleasing me more than he ever has on the last day. He usually just satisfies himself. We'll see how long this new approach lasts. Sadly, we were woken up this morning to a call from his mom saying that his dad was definitely going to pass away soon and that he needed to go to the hospital immediately. I'm devastated to hear this after his father is a lovely, quiet and kind man who has always treated me with such warmth. My boyfriend is really cut up right now, and I know I couldn't live with myself if I abandoned him during the worst time of his life. However, I can't help but feel hurt, betrayed and angry to know what he really thinks of me at my most scared and vulnerable, and at my happiest and most fun. I annoy him both ways. I am now sure that I will break up with him, but I will support him through the death of his father first. I'm not going to be a martyr by doing this. I know what I'm doing. I will be his best friend through this. Not because he deserves it, but just because it breaks my heart to see anyone go through this. I want to support and care for him because I still love him, but I've given up all hope of the type of relationship I want with him now. I want someone who's excited that I'm excited about them, or at the very least, finds my excitement endearing. Someone who doesn't mind that I love them so much that I can't stop smiling and looking at them and being affectionate. I want someone who likes my personality. Meanwhile, I'm working on myself. I'm getting my life in order. I will continue to plan my move to Europe without him. I will continue to meet up with my friends and have fun. My life will go on. Coming to terms with ending this relationship will be hard. I do know that he loves me in his own weird way, but I can't see past the way he sees me. Our relationship is dead in my mind. I know to some of you it will seem crazy that I'm not dumping him immediately. I just can't turn my back on him. I don't know when I will end it, but I will know when it feels right. Willoughby, you've officially checked out and will stay in the relationship with him to support him as his best friend. I find that admirable. Not many people would do that. I'm not sure if I would do that because, well, I'm not that great of a person. Just make sure that you identify that moment when you need to step out before it becomes too taxing on you. So on that point, I'm going to say here's wishing you the best in the future, OP, and hopefully you have fun in Europe. Take care and thank you for sharing. Now, I definitely need a mood booster post, so if you do too, stick with me and let's move on with that. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user Sad Puppy Eyes. I see your malicious compliance on me, so I will do one of my own on you. A while ago, I was in charge of training for a large organization. I mostly did the organizing. For a fictitious example, I might coordinate the Dean of Medicine at Yale to come in and give a speech to 200 employees. Our usual location was a large auditorium or classroom, complete with a podium and computer. The aforementioned dean might show up with a PowerPoint that he needs to run, etc. So I had my two admin assistants show up at 7:45 a.m. each morning to make sure whatever the room was running for, whatever speaker lecturer was there, as the usual start time was 0800. Sometimes, as it was bound to happen, computer issues arose. Not too often, maybe once or twice a month tops. Maybe the dean couldn't pull up his PowerPoint, so we'd call our IT guy, Gary, who was 2 offices away, and he'd come and fix the problem. Everyone was happy until Gary retired. His new replacement, Todd, didn't like the arrangement. Though his start time was 8 in the morning, he'd often drift in at 8:10 or 8:15. This is not good when we're having a computer crisis at 8:02. Further, he hated walking into the office and immediately having a call waiting for him. He wanted to have his coffee, read his email, and ease his way into the workday. I can't blame him there. So, Todd decided that he would no longer attend our computer calls. He told me to have my admin assistants troubleshoot the problems, since they were there anyways. He was pretty hardcore about this, until I pulled out the job description of my assistants, and nowhere did it say the computer repair fell under their workload. I then showed him his job description, which said that it was computer repair. Enter malicious compliance on Todd's part. You want me to attend? Okay, then we do it by the books. No more calling me directly. You need to call the central helpline and have them open a user ticket. Then I'll attend. I pointed out the foolishness of this. It's 7:54. I have the Yale Dean of Medicine and he can't work his PowerPoint. I need it fixed now. I can't spend 15 minutes waiting on hold for the next available help desk agent, then 15 minutes explaining the problem to them, and then have them open a ticket to send it to Todd. Then another 20 minutes before Todd opens or responds to the ticket. We can't have 200 people sitting for 45 minutes waiting on Todd. Too bad, he said with a smirk. Those are the rules, or you can just have your admin ladies fix the problem. I tried one last ditch effort to reason. When the CEO is going to give a speech and the computer shorts out, he doesn't have to wait 45 minutes. So obviously you can make exceptions. Common sense says this should be one too. Nope, Todd said. The CEO's staff do what's called a preemptive ticket. They submit it ahead of time and have me there on standby in case things do go wrong. Oh, thank you, Todd. I kind of see where this is going. So yes, even he has to do ticket process. Okay, Todd, I see your malicious compliance and raise you one of my own. The next morning, I sat with coffee in hand and waited, smiling in anticipation. Sure enough, my door bursts open with a furious Todd. "What the F is this?" he snarled, waving a printout. I had submitted preemptive tickets for every day for the next 3 months, requiring Todd to be at my training room at 7:45 every day, just in case there was a computer emergency. Even better, I had contacted his boss's boss and received authorization to change Todd's work schedule due to operational requirements, so he would now be required to work 7 to 3 instead 8 to 4. Or you could just pick up the damn phone when I call you and come over. We agreed that the ticket process would not be necessary and he would show up as needed. Wow, a malicious compliance